Welcome back to episode 5 of the World of Warcraft From Nothing to Completionist Challenge. It's hard to believe just how much progress we've already made and the fact that we're more than halfway to our first goal of unlocking the Burning Crusade content. We ended off last time with 2,794 collection score, which consisted of 1,425 achievement points, 41 mounts, 115 pets, 23 toys, and 44,438 gold earned. With the stage set, let's jump right into our adventures over the last few days. As the weekly reset had just happened, I wanted to get right into the raids again to get them checked off the list, starting with Molten Core. As I had mentioned before, the Hydraxian Waterlord rep, which you get from Molten Core, is a giant pain. Trash gives reputation only to Revered, and from Revered to Exalted, only the bosses do. Without any modifiers, you can only get 1,050 rep per week after Revered, which means it's a 20-week grind to get the 21,000 rep needed to get to Exalted from Revered. So with that in mind, I decided to do a trash run for rep and to pick up as much Dark Iron ore, both for great gold but also to easily get the last 10 points I needed to hit 300 mining by smelting them down. More on that later. Step 1 was Revered with Hydraxian. It took me 14 runs to get there with the route I was taking, which was close to 6 minutes each. We ended up getting some amazing loot along the way, including a pattern I've never actually seen drop in all my years of playing, the Helm of the Great Chief. After I managed to hit Revered, I switched gears and picked up the old attunement to the core quest from Lothos Riftwalker and ran downstairs to complete Blackrock depths. I had 3 main objectives. First off was to get the achievement for completing the dungeon, then to complete the attunement quest, not because you need to be attuned to get into Molten Core anymore, clearly, but to simply get rid of the quest marker from Lothos. I'm going to be doing Molten Core for 5 months or more, so that alone is worth it. Lastly, I was languishing in the low 290s with my mining skill and wanted 300 to pop yet another profession achievement. With the only open world source of skill points being rich thorium ore, which was green and seldom gave skill ups, Blackrock Depths has an NPC which teaches the ability to smelt dark iron ore into bars, which would easily get me to 300. Along the way, we managed to complete the next Got My Mind on My Money achievement for looting 1,000 gold. I had also looted a ton of lava and fiery cores from my Molten Core runs, which I had in my bag, so I stopped by Lochto's Dark Bargainer, the Thorium Brotherhood Quartermaster, and turned in enough to hit Exalted, which popped the achievement for reaching 5 Exalted reputations. Even though I was clear on my goals starting the dungeon, I of course promptly forgot about getting the Dark Iron recipe and killed the NPC that trained it. So when I finished the dungeon and got the achievement for completing Blackrock Depths by killing the Emperor, I had to port out, turn in the attunement, and then reset the dungeon, clear back to the NPC, and this time complete the quest and finally smelt my way to 300 mining. Now that all 3 goals were reached, it was time to take the backdoor entrance into Molten Core again, but this time to complete the entire raid including the bosses. I was hoping to pick up more of the Paladin T1 set as we were starting with 5 of 8 pieces, just missing the helm, shoulders, and feet. Either that or I wouldn't complain about a binding or 2. Of course I got none of that, but hey, at least I got the 1,050 rep. Then it was time to head over to Blackwing Lair, which was right next door. I was starting with only 1 of 8 of the T2 set, and Cenarion was kind enough to drop the T2 Judgment Helm. Another hugely iconic Paladin set piece, and was actually an upgrade for me, so an instant equip. Yes, I know I have to T-Mog max, but for now, call me crazy, the fit really isn't looking half bad. After hurting back to Orgrimmar, clearing out our bags and listing the auctions from our efforts in Blackrock Mountains, I ran the Midsummer Dailies, which saw us ding 74. Then it was time for our weekly AQ40 clear, which saw us one step closer to our rep goal as the final boss allowed us to hit Hostile with Brood of Nosdormu, which is a huge milestone and means we're roughly 4 more weeks away from hitting Exalted. Our next questing zone target was Thousand Needles, and while progressing through the storyline, we unlocked the Fashionista Risks achievement, followed closely by the Fashionista shoulders. The only pet we were missing from Thousand Needles was the Twilight Iguana, but after searching for about an hour for a rare version, I decided to settle for uncommon to get it checked off the list, which also happened to make us ding level 75. All wasn't bad though, as I did manage to score a rare quality black rat for my troubles. Eventually, we managed to earn both the quest and exploration achievement for Thousand Needles. Before I left the zone, I was feeling more confident about the pet arsenal, so took on Keela Grimtoten, the battle pet trainer in the zone, and easily scored the W. She's one of the 5 Kalimdor trainers we need to defeat in order to unlock pet dailies, which is a big milestone for us in this challenge. The next zone up on my Kalimdor list was Feralist, and almost immediately I popped the exploration achievement. Seeing as how I fly through the zone every day for midsummer dailies, I had a decent head start in exploration here. I continued to roll with pet trainer battles and immediately defeated Trainer Gluck. While questing, I got to one which required me to weaken an enemy below 35% before capturing them. That is now virtually impossible given the current scaling, so I had to resort to the foam sword we had bought a few episodes ago in Orgrimmar. Worked like a charm. The Feralist quest achievement was knocked off the list without much trouble soon after that, and then it was time to venture into the fabled 3 wings of Dire Maul, west, east, and north, to get the dungeon achievement. The next day of Midsummer Dailies saw me ding both 76 and 77 for my troubles. As we had amassed over 700 of the festival's blossoms, I picked up a couple of the toys we were missing from the vendor. The Fire Eater's Hearthstone and Flaming Ring of Happiness for another 10 points in toys, and also popped the 25 toys achievement for a second 10 points. Then it was on to the Sands of Tanaris for the next stop in our Kalimdor tour. While questing, I snagged an uncommon quality Gold Beetle, Infinite Whelpling, and Sand Kitten for my troubles, along with a rare Desert Spider. These were the 4 pets in the zone which I did not already have at least an uncommon rarity. It took me over an hour to secure all 4 with at least uncommon quality, which I know seems arbitrary, especially as getting stones to upgrade pets in later expansions is much easier. But for now, when my available pets are slim and future expansions are locked by tens of thousands of collection points, I think it's worth the extra effort. While clearing out the dig sites, we secured the Tragedy in 3 Acts achievement from Night Elf Solves for a nice surprise 10 points. We're going to have to revisit archaeology for a deep dive in the near term, as there are a lot of easy achievements to be had if we put in the hours needed to clear out 100 to 200 dig sites in both Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor. That will have to be a future episode, and we will definitely need to be in the right mindset. There is no shortage of grinds that we're going to need for this challenge, that's for sure. We managed to finish off both the exploration and then questing achievements for Tanaris as a whole. With pets, quests, and exploration out of the way, the last thing to do was the dungeon in the zone, Zul'Farrak. Then it was time to switch deserts over to the hives of Silithus. As usual, we followed our same formula of hunting pets we were missing while focusing on quests, exploration, and any items needed for bigger achievements. Luckily, we had unlocked the Silithus zone exploration a while back thanks to our frequent AQ20 raid visits, so this was a relatively easy zone to check off. With only one missing pet from our roster, the spiky lizard, we managed to snag a rare version. Along the way, while completing the quest change, we managed to hit Exalted with Cenarion Circle, adding a 6th reputation to max rank. This officially retires AQ20 from our daily schedule, which makes it the first raid we've completed to date. Silithus has so much thorium ore. That, coupled with the bugs and worms, which are all skinnable, made it a really profitable zone to gather from, which will pay off in the long run when we get to our mailbox clear later in the video. In less than an hour, I managed to secure the Silithus quest achievement and check the zone from off our to-do list, in the process dinging level 78. That meant that the final zone to complete in Kalimdor available to us was Ungoro Crater. At this point, I was on a roll and had checked off Thousand Needles, Tanaris, and Silithus, but I purposely saved Ungoro for last as there were a few hidden gems there, namely a time-gated mount, lots of pets, and an epic storyline, Maximilian of Northshire. I started with knocking off as many of the pets as I could by getting the cockroach, different breed spotted bell frogs, which were both rare, emerald boa, long-tailed mole, and a rare tree python for good measure. The zoo is definitely growing rapidly. My next goal was to start the process of unlocking the Venom Hydraxian mount. There's a short quest chain to unlock a daily, which you must do for 20 days before you can learn the mount. It seems simple, but there was a problem. It's gated by a quest called Toxic Tolerance, where you need to be poisoned 20 times by the Venom Hydraxians in the area. It seems simple, but they only poison you if you're attacking them. Since I now hit anything for tens of millions, this proved to be a challenge to say the least. I tried my trusty foam sword, which got one swing off without killing them, but this did not provoke them to poison me still. I did some research and saw a comment on Wowhead that an engineering item called the Goblin Dragon Gun Mark II was a known trick to complete the quests at a high level, so off to Orgrimmar to check the auction house. Yeah, at 114,000 gold, I wasn't going to be completing this today. I'll stick a pin in it and check the auction house in the future, and if it comes down to market value, I'll pick it up, or worst case, we can make sure and do the quests on our first alt we unlock before they outscale Un'Goro. Before headed back, I realized that I hadn't done the cooking and fishing daily quests yet for the day, which were luckily 2 I still needed for Thunderbluff. I then had a couple ideas on how to complete the Toxic Tolerance quest on my flight back to Un'Goro, which were totally responsible. The first of which was to get naked, plunge to my death, and fight them with Resurrection Sickness that reduced all my stats by 75%. I don't seem to have a clip of the actual fight with them, but I can say I still hit them for over 1 million even with all this going on. Needless to say, that wasn't going to work. My next thought was to use the Timbermaw trinket we'd farmed up for our Cthulhu adventures to see if that would prompt the raptor to poison us, but he just died in one shot, so yeah, this one's not happening today, I realized. While I was in the area, I kept my eyes out for the rare raptor nest for the Rabasaur hatchling, and eventually it spawned and I was able to add the little guy to the zoo. Even though I had a fire beetle already, it was of poor quality, so I did also pick up an uncommon variant at a higher level as I knew this would come in handy in future pet battles. As we continued to quest in the zone, we unlocked the Breadwinner achievement for making 10,000 gold from quest rewards. Pretty big milestone, and a lot of gold from just quests. A big change made in the game over the years is these low level quests give a lot of gold, which is nice incentive to do them for higher level characters, and a good overall change I think. A blue cockroach was also added, pushing our rare total even closer to the 50 needed to pop the next and final rare catch achievement for pet battling. Archaeology helped us get another level, as we dinged 79 with a fossil site. Then we made our way north to Fungal Rock, which popped the achievement for not only Explore Un'Goro Crater, but also the meta achievement for exploring Kalimdor for 35 total collection points, and yet another major milestone for Max. Then that brought us to, without a doubt, the most hilarious quest chain in all of the early game, that of Maximilian of Northshire. The clueless knight who's determined to save everyone and fight the scary dragons of Un'Goro, always a highlight. While the Stone Talon quest line is my overall favorite of the revamped Kalimdor zones, this one always makes me laugh without fail. Then it was time to complete the final chain in the zone and pop the Un'Goro Crater quest achievement and also Loremaster of Kalimdor. This is a huge achievement for the challenge, as it consists of 14 different zones taking an average of 1 to 2 hours to complete, as I was multitasking pet battles, exploration, and quests for each. RNG achievements like Old Crafty feel amazing attaining them, but grinds such as Loremaster is a different type of dopamine hit, because it's generally just an unsexy grind and a guaranteed time sink. There's no rolling the dice and getting it in 5 minutes. It requires a set amount of effort, which can be daunting when first starting out. This is a really good representation of what this challenge is for me. I know the time sink and effort is monumental, years long even. But breaking it up into smaller bite-sized chunks and having a plan on how to attain it all is a huge source of enjoyment for me. Breaking up the daily grind, the RNG grinds, and also the time sinks such as Loremaster, and juggling them all so that you're always getting some progress each day rather than tackling things that will take weeks just to get 10 achievement points, is the real key to long-term success. Advancing on many fronts as possible each day is the overall goal. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox and return to Un'Goro. We still had one thing left to check off the list, which was the Dimetrodon hatchling. This proved to be a challenge as the pets are tied to the elder Dimetrodons and took me over 30 minutes to finally see even an uncommon one. Good enough. This also popped the Menagerie achievement for collecting 125 unique pets, awarding the brilliant Kaleri pet. After hearthing back to Orgrimmar, we had a ton of ore in our bags, and I had to put some time into smelting them down, which took over 15 minutes, since we had amassed over 500 between Tanaris, Silithus, and Un'Goro. Then it was time to list and relist our auctions. I've had a few comments asking about my auction house strategy, and to be honest, I don't really have anything fancy. I list all trade goods generally once a day at market price. Then when it comes to transmog, I vendor anything that's not going for at least 500 gold on my auction house and post the rest at market prices. I simply don't have the time or alts to effectively manage the auction house and transmog at this time. In the future, when we unlock more alts, this will definitely be something I focus more on. It was then time to do a little housekeeping and clean up for Silithus. First off, we'd hit Exalted with Cenarion's Circle, and I wanted to complete the quests that award the ring, cloak, and weapon. Not because it's tied to any achievement, but just has great nostalgia for me, as much of vanilla does, not to mention the cool cloak and weapon transmogs they unlock. Then I completed the required quests to unlock the Smoke Desert Dumplings cooking recipe. There are many achievements tied to overall recipe count, so making sure we keep on top of all we can learn along the way is going to pay off in the long run. With that new recipe, we used the sandworm meat we had in our bags to hit 300 cooking and unlock the classic cook achievement. With the success we had with pet tamers in the southern Kalimdor zones, I decided to complete the rest of the tamers needed for the Pet Battle Tamers of Kalimdor quest, starting with Zoltan in Felwood. That also unlocked the Time for a Leash achievement for raising a pet to level 15 for our lowly fire beetle we'd captured in Un'Goro before. Next up was Elena Flutterby in Moonglade. And after defeating her, we unlocked the quest to challenge the big bad boss of all Pet Battle Tamers in Kalimdor, Stone Cold Trixie. Defeating her saw us pop 2 achievements, Taming Kalimdor and Battlemaster, for defeating all trainers in Kalimdor and also for reaching 200 Pet Battle achievement points. Even more important to this was the fact it now unlocks daily pet battles for the 12 Kalimdor pet trainers, which gives us huge experience, helps us to chip away at our daily quest totals, and also, most importantly, allows us to level our pets all the way to level 25. While the wild pets in the zones we have access to don't scale up to 25, the pet trainer's pets are always matching your highest level pet. That way, so long as we keep doing our dailies, we'll be able to level our pets up to 25 to give us a jump start for when we go to Outland. In addition, Trixie gives us a sack of pet supplies every day, which can contain rare quality upgrade stones and also the Porcupet pet. The daily pet quests were available right away, and it was only fitting that defeating Trixie again saw us hit level 80 and pop 2 achievements for both level 80 and one Warband Mentor, the War Within. It was then time to speedrun the other 11 pet trainers to fine-tune my rematch strategy for each of them and ensure I had the pets needed to consistently beat them. I also mapped out where the stable masters were in Kalimdor, so while flying around I could stop and heal my pets if needed. Since the pet heal ability has an 8-minute cooldown, we don't want to have any unnecessary downtime. The rematch add-on has a really cool feature of saving pet battle teams by trainer, and the ability to add notes if you want as well. This is a huge time saver to have set up in the long run. Now that Kalimdor is done and dusted for quests and exploration, it's time to set my eyes on Eastern Kingdoms, and I decided to start with Eastern Plague Lands. Probably the zone I've spent the most time in over the years, thanks to the dungeons, Naxxramas, and Light's Hope Chapel. let's speedrun my gameplay of the zone as a whole while I get some rule clarifications out of the way. I do have some hard questions to grapple with on what content is fair game as part of our challenge. Ghostlands is included as part of the Loremaster for the Eastern Kingdoms, but that was technically added in Burning Crusade. As someone pointed out in the comments, I'm playing a Blood Elf as well, which wasn't added until the Burning Crusade also. Where I've ended up is that first and foremost, this is a completionist challenge. The expansion modifier is to chronologically tackle the challenge to not make it as overwhelming to play or watch. Cataclysm revamped the original zones, and much of what existed before is actually no longer available, from quests to even the original maps, dungeons, and raids. So with that in mind, if it exists on the content of Kalimdor or Eastern Kingdoms, I will allow it to count as the first phase of this challenge, with some obvious exceptions. No Uldum, Twilight Highlands, or Mount Hyjal quests, dungeons, or raids will be done. They will be saved for Cataclysm. Same goes for Quel'Thalas. I will be able to use archaeology dig sites in Cataclysm zones though, so the profession will not be gated until then. But pet battles and capturing will be off limits. Any zone needed for exploration for Kalimdor or Eastern Kingdoms is allowed. Same goes for Loremaster. Things will be cleaner once we get to Outland and Northrend. Here are the highlights from the sped up gameplay. We captured a rare cockroach and infected squirrel to go along with an uncommon bat, infected fawn, and festering maggot to add to our collection. Then to continue the role of pet battle trainer domination, we defeated Delza Plaguehorn. There is a quest to defeat the Tamers in Eastern Kingdoms as well for Horde, but it's a one-time quest and doesn't unlock another 12 Pet Battle Dailies sadly, only for Alliance characters. In the zone, there are multiple buffs you can get from Caravan members which offer rewards. One such buff comes from Fiona, which allows you to loot hidden stashes from mobs. These stashes have a chance to contain the pet Mr. Grubs. Wowhead says it's a 38% drop chance, but the comments have reported rates that are much lower. At any rate, spoiler, I got it from the second stash right at the start of the zone and breathed a sigh of relief. We managed to pop the 1000 quests completed achievement, which is another huge milestone for Max. Also, the Fashionista Head achievement, which means we are now only short the Fashionista Back achievement to unlock the fabulous title. After that, it was a relatively quick zone to pop the overall quest achievement, and then to pick up the final subzone I was missing for Explore Eastern Kingdoms. It was then time to run both Living and Undead Stratholme for the Dungeon Achievement quest and to advance my Argent Dawn rep. Similarly, we flew over to the Western Plaguelands to complete the Argent Dawn rep quest and also the dungeon achievement there by killing Darkmaster Gandling. The Argent Dawn rep acquisition was simplified years ago to make it way faster and more simple. Similar to the Timbermaw rep, back in vanilla, Argent Dawn was a long, arduous rep grind. The difference was it had great rewards which made it really attractive and more practical to focus on. The repeated Cauldron quests to get to Exalted were painstakingly slow, and the grind to Exalted was one that took weeks, even if you focused on it for 6 to 8 hours a day. In Modern Warcraft, completing all the quests in Eastern Plaguelands gets you to Revered with Argent Dawn, and then the NPC Lord Raymond George offers 2 repeatable quests, one to collect a book from Living Stratholme and kill Rattlegore in Sholomance. Each quest offers 2000 rep, so you need to do them both 5 times and one a 6th time to hit Exalted unless you have some rep modifiers. So that's what I did, taking just under 45 minutes to complete and ding Exalted for 15 juicy achievement points. Also, just to point out, we did manage to get a couple epics for our troubles, the Underworld Band and Flurry Axe. Not the best, but hey, purples are purples, and it was exciting all the same. One other point of note is we also got the rare toy from Hearthsinger Forreston in Stratholme for an additional 5 points and the ability to start a dance party at will. After my adventures with the undead, it was time to get back to my dailies, and a Hoon was on the menu. The luck gods definitely shined on me as his dropped satchel contained the rarest and hardest item to get from the whole festival, the sun-painted rock. Then shortly after, I unlocked the Trading Post Mount of the Month, the Bilgewater Extreme Firework Rocket. And then, with Trader's Tender, I bought the Blackwater Extreme Firework Rocket, and the 2 available pets this month, the Chillbot and Thrillbot 9000. 3 mounts and 2 pets for an easy 66 collection points. While completing my pet daily battles for the day, I dinged 81 and unlocked the achievement for Master Pet Battler for winning 250 pet battles. All our hard work is paying off. The cooking quest in Thunderbluff on the day was the last one I needed to complete the Let's Do Lunch Thunderbluff meta achievement, leaving just Undercity to finish the Let's Do Lunch series. On my way back to Eastern Kingdoms, I got the Cluck quest out of the way, which is a fun side quest to spam the /chicken emote to a chicken repeatedly until it offers a side quest, which results in the Westfall Chicken Battle Pet. With that done, then the crispy Batwing recipe was acquired from Brill, which pushed me over the edge to attain the Short Order Cook achievement for learning 50 cooking recipes. Move over, Gordon Ramsay, make way for Max. I wanted to complete the Western Plaguelands as my final questing zone before bringing this chapter to a close, as I knew it was going to be a quicker unlock. So I quickly set about my usual strategy, starting with pet battles. We were only missing 1 pet from the zone, which was the Undead Blighthawk, which is a really strong early game pet, so we made sure to find a rare version to capture for the roster. Watched in the corner as Sylvanas gave Kultira a tongue lashing and banished him to Undercity, another great Kata revamped quest chain. Progressing through the quest line, we organically popped the achievement for exploring Western Plaguelands, and soon after we completed the Western Plaguelands quest achievement for our 6th zone completed in this episode, after Thousand Needles, Tanaris, Silithus, Ungoro Crater, Eastern and Western Plaguelands. What a whirlwind. We hearth back to complete the dailies of the day, including the Templars for Midsummer and all 12 pet battle quests. Also, I realized about halfway through the video that I don't actually need to do the Dragonflight pre-quests in order to unlock dragon riding. So that has made flying around the continents a lot more fun, to say the least. With the daily 12 pet battles, I've managed to level 8 pets to level 20 or above in just a few days with minimal effort. I'm going to stick with it for now to keep racking up the level 25s. It's only going to pay off in the long run. Also, along the way, we finally hit Exalted with our guild to pop the achievement Time Flies When You're Having Fun. As a testament to just how valuable the XP gains are, we dinged 82 for a final level this video along the way as well. It took just under an hour to do the Midsummer Templar quests, Ahun, and all 12 Kalimdor Pet Trainer dailies. Great value for time, as it helps us advance on so many fronts. Since we had reached Exalted with the guild, it was time to raid the guild coffers. Talking to the guild vendor, we were able to buy the Lil Taragosa pet, the awesome scorpion mount Reigns of the Kor'kron Annihilator, and the Armadillo pup, Dark Phoenix hatchling, and Guild Herald pets. Not a bad haul, thanks Unimatrix 1. With that, this is where we're going to be ending off this episode. I got so much accomplished, and while progress is going to slow at times, I think we're screaming along at a good pace. We end at 1830 achievement points. That's a 405 achievement point gain from the start of the episode. 199 out of 5,863 have been completed. In terms of mounts, we added 4 this episode to end at 45 total. The Bilgewater and Blackwater Extreme Firework Rockets, the Sun-Painted Rock from Ahun, and also the Kor'kron Annihilator from hitting Exalted with our guild. Let's take a better look at that sweet, sweet Sun-Painted Rock. In terms of pets, we end at 143, an addition of 28 from the start of the episode. Just to add that I did release our duplicate arcane eyes back into the wild, so as you can see, any duplicate pets we have now are of a different breed. So we will be pointing out our pet total right from the header of the window going forward. For toys, we end at 26, having added 3 this episode. Now, for gold totals, I haven't opened any gold since our last episode, so let's take a peek and hear that sweet, sweet coin roll in. Standout sales were the dark iron bars we gathered and smelted earlier in the episode, thorium and mithril bars, as well as arcane crystals. So if we look at our stats, that gives us 2,451 gold looted, 13,339 gold from quest rewards, and then if we look at our TSM revenue, we have 92,053 gold earned from vendor and auction house sales. For those of you wondering, 13,731 gold of the revenue from TSM came from vendor sales, which is selling trash and soulbound or BOE items. The rest was from auction sales. A few transmog sales, but it's really mostly trade goods. So if we plug all these numbers together of gold looted, quest rewards, and TSM revenue, we end up at 107,844 gold and an overall total collection score of 3,504 collection points, or a 710 collection point gain since last episode. Thanks to everyone for the interest, thoughts, and comments. I do read them all. I will say that I'm working on an add-on which will be available on CurseForge to download for anyone interested to track their own collection score, which will be fully customizable to adjust point values or to track expansion unlocks, as I do or not. Happy collecting, everyone. I'll see you in our next video.